Yesterday, NTV's Mercy Chelangat had a feature on toxic and poisonous pesticides. It ran basically talking about the things that we use to basically try and invest in our bounty, right? Yeah. To have more fertile, to have more actually bounty from our soils. And she spoke about a concealed tragedy that was revealing heart-wrenching stories of suffering, and of course an urgent plea from individuals who are yearning for change and accountability as far as toxic harvests are concerned. We are agricultural in nature. A lot of us are subsistence farmers, though it's not large scale. But even then, what are we seeing as far as the use of pesticides is concerned? And we'll talk about all of that with Dr. Harun. But first, let's see a little bit from Mercy's feature yesterday that ran on NTV, talking about the toxic harvests, what goes into them, and of course, how we got here.
She interviewed a number of people, and they were just doing a story. They went to Meru and they were talking to some people where...
You know, there's a man at 85 who should have been enjoying his grandchildren. Instead, he was battling liver cancer that would eventually take his life. And then we have others who are, you know, undergoing this. Francis Marete is one that we are seeing. So we'll hear from Francis Marete and then also hear from Rosalia Rigeri and Lucy McKenna.
Tuseme ni bahati ya Mungu niko hai. Wale tulifanya kazi nao walienda.
Hii koo iko na ugonjwa mpaka hapa. Hiyo kansa.
Siku hiyo alikuwa kwa kazi. Hata alikufia kwa hiyo mashini juu.
Siendangi kwa kijiji, kwa kiburi. Inakaanga kwa jua.
There's no way you can contaminate, you can poison a whole nation. It's a crime against humanity.
You have maize here, it has a pesticide in it, but if it gets into the pot and you start cooking it, actually the rise in temperature will help that chemical now to mix properly with the food.
While this product says it's supposed to be disposed of in a safe designated place, what is a safe designated place? Where is that safe designated place? Who tells the farmer where that safe designated place is?
The board has never ever challenged what I have said. In fact, at some point they said I should be careful not to mention the company names. I mean the product names because they might I might be sued. But it was bad. There was a time when I would get even death threats.
There is no way something is bad for the American farmer and bad for the European farmer, but now good for the Kenyan farmer.
This organization, from the CEO to the crack, is really supposed to be in jail.
Okay, so varied sound bites there from, you know, policymakers, those who've been affected. And somebody said there, which was pertinent, what is good outside of Kenya, or what is bad outside of Kenya that is good in Kenya? Why do we have some pesticides that are outlawed and yet they still find their way here?
Yeah.
And maybe, Dr. you could just start by painting that picture for us here.
Yeah, I think the picture that has been painted there is a bit sad. And this has been our campaign as the Root to Food Initiative. And sometimes it's very, very painful when you see what you've seen there. But let me come to a question about the double standard. That's what we call the double standard. In terms of a product that has been banned in some other countries, we were allowing it to be sold and used here in Kenya, you know, for marketing and utilization in this country. And this has been our campaign as a Root to Food Initiative for a very long time, all the way from 20s up to date. And our argument has been that any product that is highly hazardous, and shortly allow me to explain, to differentiate between a product that is, we can say that is moderately hazardous, that is hazardous, that is highly hazardous, that is extremely hazardous. What are we talking about? But getting back to your question is that our concern has been there because, for example, in Europe, in the EU, I mean, and the US, you find these products have been banned there, and yet here in Africa, they are still being marketed by the same companies that are in their motherland. But I'm glad that last year, during the review of the amendment of the business law, 2024 that was started by the president in December. Now it's illegal for a product that has been banned or highly restricted in the country of origin for it to be used or to be marketed in Kenya. So somehow this is now, we hope with the implementation of this law, this has been covered. Yeah.
Give us the background of this. Somebody who has not been following up this story or knowing what's been going on.
Yeah.
What's the issue with pesticides, with specific brands of pesticides, their countries of origin, and their use in Kenya? Just take a few minutes.
Yeah.
Take us through that whole story from beginning to end. Bring us up to speed.
Actually, that's a very good question, Latif. The issue has been this. Because of the unregulated aspects within some of the destination countries where these products have to be sold, they ended up landing here because their countries, they have been banned. I mean, they have been withdrawn, for example, or they have been restricted in terms of use. But because other countries have no that restriction, they don't consider a product that has been restricted in use, that has been withdrawn from the market in the country of origin where it is being produced, such that in that country, it's not being utilized. It's not ending up in the market. So they end up sending such products in the global south. And that has been a mess because a product that has been withdrawn, there has been some specific consideration in terms of toxicity in human or effect in our environment. And out of that, those products have been restricted. For example, they cannot be used in open field. They can be used for flowers and so in the greenhouses. That's the aspect of restriction. Then withdrawal, it has been mopped out from the market. So in those countries, under those two boundaries or those two bans, those products are not being utilized at that country over where they are being produced. But because some other countries like Kenya, as it were, we were not restrictive to the use of such products, they end up being dumped here in Kenya.
I want to ask a question.
Yes, please.
So you're saying that there's a product that was being manufactured in a country and it was being used in that country before.
Yeah.
And then at some point they banned its use in that country.
Yes.
Or they restricted how it's used in that country. And the country is in Europe.
Yes.
Let's talk about the withdrawal. When this product was being withdrawn, what were the concerns?
Yes.
And what does the withdrawal exactly mean?
Let me differentiate some of these terminologies to our viewers. When you hear of a product that has been banned, when a product is banned, it's based on some multilateral agreements, whereby there will be some agreement at the international level, in a very simple manner so people can understand. That product globally has been banned from production and marketing. So it has been kicked out of the market and use.
It cannot be produced anywhere in the world.
In the world. That is banned.
Okay.
Now we come to the crack of the matter with withdrawal. Withdrawal is country specific. So there are some measures or some consideration based on the risk or the hazard nature of that product within the utilization aspect because of its effect on health and also effect on our environment. And these are very impactful elements that are considered, like what you've had here, aspects of diseases. I will not go to the details. That has been talked a lot. But I would really want to insist that they are a health hazard to human beings. They are also impactful to environment. For example, the pollinators. You know, they are not selective. They'll keep on killing like our bees that are very good for pollinators. The ladybirds, you know, those kind of insects that we don't note their impact on our environment, they are very key.
Until they're gone.
Until they are gone. And that will translate to decreased yield, even our water sources. Let's say so, because that is directly toxic to the fishery and directly to us as human beings, other animals within the food chain.
Maybe, Doctor, just give us examples of some of the most prevalent pesticides that are used in Kenya right now that have either been banned or withdrawn from the EU, the US, and other big markets.
We had a lot of these products like the acephates, you know, the chlorothalonil, you know, aspects like Duron. All these were rotating around. You know, we were not, I mean, as we were using them, but you find other countries, they have been withdrawn. So what we have seen now with the amendment of the
just before you continue,
yes,
because I just wanted to make it relatable for our listeners who may not be familiar with the scientific names.
Yes.
Those ones that you've mentioned, they used to kill what kind of pests, and that pests usually attacks what kinds of plants, and where in Kenya was the prevalence, you know, was it used a lot? Is it across the country? Is it in certain regions? Just so that we can bring it close to home.
Let me bring it very clearly that we have got 3 types of pesticides. We have got the fungicides, that could be addressing our bacterial issues, our fungal issues, in fact of infections of our crops. Then we have got insecticides that target the insects that attack our crops. Then we have got also the herbicides that we use for killing the weeds. For example, like the restriction that has come now in Kenya of the 2,4-D. It's a very common herbicide, also that cuts across. And this one has been now been restricted in terms of use. So when you look at these 2 levels of the kind of directions that are taken by this standby government, it's the withdrawal or restriction. And like I've said, across the crops in this country, for example, like the 2,4-D has been used in the wheat industry and of course in the maize and also coffee. So we are cutting across different bands of usage of these chemicals. And just also to explain, when we are talking of the withdrawal or the restrictions, we are looking at the ones that are highly hazardous. And usually what happens is about the issue of toxicity. We have got class 1A and class 1B. What our concern, class 1A, is the ones that are extremely hazardous. That one even is not even touchable.
Right.
So even when the WHO classified those 2 bands, our concern is class 1B. That is highly hazardous. So all these elements that we are talking about here are highly hazardous. And this is where the crack of the matter is. May it be a herbicide, may it be an insecticide, may it be a fungicide, they are highly hazardous. And that's what we are saying, is that based on the considerations that the government was doing, let me talk of the government, because this directive came from the government, from the executive, from the cabinet secretary. They were able to target 77 of all the products. We are not talking about the active ingredients. We are talking, let me also clarify, it's very good you have brought this question. When you look, for example, at a pesticide, what is the killer element or the one that will be able to control that disease? That's what we are calling the active ingredient. And that's what we have been targeting. If you look at what we have been campaigning as the Root to Food initiative, actually we had a scientific report that was used when you had Madam Sholai talking here. What was used in the petition back in the 20s was about the active ingredients, whereby we flagged out 29 in a scientific report. And we are so glad that 13 out of the 29 are the ones that are in the circular by the cabinet secretary. So we feel that our impact is being felt. But still, remember, we have got 16 that have not been touched. 16.
Let's come back to that in a minute. Can we go back? You said that there's banned, withdraw. Is there any other?
Restricted.
Restricted and restricted.
Yeah.
And then if I'm a farmer and I want to go and purchase a pesticide or a fungicide.
Good question.
Sorry?
Yes, good question.
Oh, good.
I know where you're heading.
Yeah, well, the question I was going to ask is, how would I know?
Yeah, how will I know?
Unless I take it and then look at it and then go do my research, which I know people will say, if you're going to do that, you need to read about the insecticides you're using. But is there anything on a label? Obviously, it wouldn't say hazardous. But will it talk about, please use this within a certain, or I don't know, how can I know if I'm going to purchase something that it's hazardous?
Very good. Now, the challenge we are having, even with this circular, allow me to start from there, we find that still there is some more to be done. Because most of our farmers end up, for advisory and access of the product, at the agrovets. Some of these agrovets, we have got staff who actually even are not very well aligned to this circular. You get. But I'm glad the circular was a bit comprehensive because it went at the level of giving the product names, not just the active ingredients, because that also could be confusing if most of those not well aligned stewards at the agrovets. Now, what we are saying is that our farmers, there is a very stringent or very urgent need of us having a very clear alignment on how we are going to sensitize both the extension team, and of course, you know, our extension is not very strong at the county levels, maybe in terms of coverage, but I'm sure this is something that needs to be addressed, and also at the agrovets level. Because we know even access to that circular, maybe others don't have it. So that should be another measure that we should ensure that all these people have, so that they can be able to educate our farmers that this product has been restricted. The other thing, and that's what our concern is, and you have brought, Janet, you have brought that question, which is very good, is that, remember we talked about 77 that were withdrawn, and we have got 202 that were restricted. And this is where the crack of the matter is. Because these ones that are restricted are still in the market. Because the restriction is, don't use this area, but use in this area. So they are not to be used in open field. Now, these products are quite a number. Of course, we are talking of about 13 active ingredients, but the products are many because of the combinations and the companies, so they end up to 202. So, what will restrict me when I go to an agrovet and just go get it? It was supposed to be the greenhouse, and I go and use it in the open field. So, this is what we as the Route to Food Initiative, we are requesting the government and the relevant PCPB and other agencies, the enforcement agencies, to be able to support farmers, or the county extension team can actually give a license or a restrictive measure, so that I go, I'm cleared, I won't use it, they will assess, I won't use it in this area, then I'll go with that document to the agrovet, you know, like a prescription, so to speak. And then this can be monitored. Like what happens with the pharmacies? You know, you go with a prescription, and the Drugs and Poisonous Board can be able to come and check whether you really sold or didn't. You know, something we are trying to think the need of a very stakeholder-wide approach to be able to come up with a mechanism who can control the 202 access and use by the farmers.
Who licenses all these products that are used in the country?
The PCPB.
What is that in full?
Sorry?
What is it in full?
The what?
In full?
Oh, the Pest Products Control Board.
Pest Products Control Board.
Yeah.
Okay. So they are the ones, anything that is used in this country on farms to deal with pests, they're the ones who are going to regulate. And so they will know that this can be sold off the counter at a local agrovet, and this should not be sold at a local agrovet. Is there such, is that how it operates in Kenya?
No, you know, in terms of even accessibility, in terms of the coverage, this is the kind of, we need a multi-agency approach, because PCPB is playing roles from different angles. It's one that is regulating, and it's one that's supposed to monitor. And we think this is where we even need to bring even the counties on board, so they can work after PCPB does this kind of declaration, or through even the ministry. But we are lacking that coordinated approach in terms of managing the landscape of pesticide in this country.
But as it stands right now, does the Pest Products Control Board actually restrict some products? So it says this product is licensed to be sold and used in this country, but under these restrictions.
But that's where the missing is, because it's still on that shelf.
Do they do that?
No, it's on that shelf.
So they don't?
They don't. That's not done. And that's
so anything
where,
anything that is produced, that is allowed to come into Kenya, is allowed to come into Kenya and sold by anyone who is licensed by PPCB.
Sorry, I think we need to be very clear here.
That's what I'm asking. Let me ask the question again.
I think I've got you. I've got
Let me ask it again, just so we are clear. Products that are for pest control, for them to be sold in Kenya, they must first be approved by PPCB.
Which is done by PCPB.
Okay. There are some that are to be restricted in how they are used, right? does the PPCB label that this one is permitted to be sold in Kenya, but under these restrictions?
Greenhouse not open.
Yeah. That's a missing link, actually.
Do they do that?
No.
So they don't do that?
That's not being done.
So they blanketly permit products to be sold in this country?
Let me explain something here. They clarify that issue. Remember, the withdrawal and restriction is at the country level. And the PCP, it is PCPB from such a circular that we got, and PCP has been doing that. It will say that from this period moving forward, these products have been restricted for use, maybe not in open field, maybe in controlled setups like greenhouses.
Okay.
These other ones we have withdrawn. So from this period, this one should not be in the market.
Okay.
So that one enforces the producers or the distributors to mop out, to enhance the mopping out of that product from the market.
Okay.
Whether that is done because from the deadline they give of, let's say, of withdrawal, that's another issue. But restriction, what is not very clear and it needs to be clarified is, if a product is restricted, like you have asked, is it actually indicated there that this is restricted for use, you know, for this kind of for this kind of field? That is a missing link. You get? But now, to answer your question, withdrawal and restriction is at the country level, and that is done by PCPB at the country level. Now, when it's banned in terms of global
no more production
initiative, that is, there's no production, and it will not land in Kenya because globally that has been banned. So we didn't have a lot of problems there. Our problem is that measures that we have been taking internally as a country in terms of withdrawal or restriction, enforcement, especially if it's withdrawal, is it mopped out from the market? Or are we getting them from panya routes from other countries?
So let me go to this part B of the question.
Yeah.
Who does the law give the mandate to enforce?
PCPB.
So they have the duty of enforcement.
Yes.
Who licenses agrovets?
PCPB.
So they know that this is a Latif agrovet.
Yes.
That and I have licensed them.
Yeah.
And I should come and conduct inspection on how they are, on what they're selling. If they're stocking something that I have not permitted, they're in the wrong.
They're in the wrong.
So they have the role of enforcement.
Yes.
So why don't they enforce?
Now, I can't answer that from my side, but our concern, of course, in terms of the magnitude of these agrovets in this country, I don't think PCB is so much endowed in terms of the workforce, in terms of that kind of capacity. That one they are challenged, and we understand. But what we are calling, and I said, is more of multi-state agencies to come on board and also work, you know, as a team to enforce these measures. Because let me ask you a question, for example. In terms of enforcing any law that is in this country, the police do it in this country, for example, in terms of issues of crime, in terms of security, they do it, isn't it? So we need a multi-state agency approach to be able to address the enforcement of these measures by PCPB. You get?
Or maybe not.
They may not have the capacity. That's a problem to fix, but I want to take us back just a little bit, because we are getting that these are, you know, some things have been banned, fine, those are not probably within circulation. Some things have been restricted, others have been withdrawn, probably still circulating. But I think we are not cognizant of perhaps the health effects for ourselves, for the environment, all of that. Let's hear from Gladys Shule, who is speaking on the health effects of some of the use of these pesticides. And then we'll come back and you can give us an overview, because also Mercy interviewed several people who have been suffering from, you know, either liver failure, cancer, as a result of exposure to these pesticides. But let's start with hearing from Gladys Shule.
24 products that cause cancer, 24 products that are mutagenic, 35 products that cause endocrine disruption, 140 products that are neurotoxic, and they are causing brain damage in children, 262 other products that show clear effects on reproduction, toxicity, and carcinogenic.
So she's talking about 24 products. And again, then you're looking at Mercy's piece as well, and you're seeing some of the effects therein. And then there's the fact that apparently some things have been banned, but we're still producing them for export. And I think she was speaking to the same. Let's just hear about that, because I want to know how something that's been banned can then be produced for export.
In the whole of North America, and they were banned in the whole entire Europe and the United Kingdom. And so they are not for use there. But because it's big business for them, and Africa is actually the market that they have now when it's banned in their countries, the law there said that you can continue to manufacture those products only for export, not for use in their own country, but for export to a country that allows it. But I always say to a country that's reckless and stupid enough to accept those products, because they're killing their own people. And that's what's been happening in Kenya. I can say this with no fear of contradiction, that the board has been in bed with the agrochemical companies, because it's huge money. There's no other reason why they would not do their job. And the agrochemical companies know their survival depends on it. Eventually we said, if the board is not going to act, if the ministry is not going to act, we then passed in Parliament the Business Law Amendment Bill, which clearly put in a clause there that said that if a product is not approved for use in the country of origin, then it cannot be allowed to be imported into Kenya.
Those are a lot of bombshells.
A lot. And this, the time she was speaking in Parliament is not even in the current Parliament. It was in the previous Parliament when she was moving that motion that the government takes action. Then what happened, Warui?
Do you know, and I would like to really thank Honorable Sholei, because she has been one of our key crusaders under the Root to Food initiative. We have worked with her very closely in this journey. And actually, the information you have had her talking about, those statistics she's giving, is based on our scientific report that we did in 2021 about the use of this pesticide. It's a very solid report that has been widely used and quoted. Most of the statistics actually you guys are using is based on that report. It's based on our work as the Root to Food initiative. Now, to answer your question, what Honorable Sholei is talking about when it comes to these products being exported from the country of origin, if you look at that narrative, she has been able to draw from where we are and where you're heading to. Because before we had the amendment of the business law, 2024, there was no that restriction that a product that is banned or highly restricted, I repeat what I had said, that highly from the country can be exported to another country. But now we hope, and we are going maybe to get regulations for this law that has been passed last year in December, that no more are we going to be the dumping ground for products that have been banned. And you have had the cases she talked about, all those kind of illnesses that we can talk about. And especially for our viewers, we are talking aspects of your hormones, aspect of your nerves, you know, the twitching of the nerves. We saw what you saw, the Parkinson. We are talking about the issues of your reproduction system. I want us to communicate in terms of a language that our public viewers can be able to understand. All that, there are some of the effects that are attributed to these highly hazardous pests. Remember, I talked about that classification, about the toxicity, and it's in the skin or oral. Dermal or oral toxicity elements are the ones we use to classify whether it's highly hazardous or hazardous. Now, we are hoping that moving forward, as we go now to, after the passing of the 2024 amendment law, there will be no acceptance of a product importing as a country, a product that has been banned in the country of origin, no, not banned, withdrawn, or even restricted. We will not be the dumping ground. And I think that's what Honorable Sholei was explaining very clearly.
Yes.
Yes.
Could you draw for us perhaps a thread of the toxicity when a product is used from the farmer spraying crops to the crop itself, to the soil health, then to the, you know, the harvest that comes from that soil, then to the people consuming that, to animals, to animal feeds, all of it. Just so that we can get a clear thread of how these poisonous pesticides affect us.
Let me give a very simple example that I think is from Form 4 biology. This is what we call the biomagnification effect. And we used to do it on the fish. A fish will take a product that is contaminated with lead, yeah, because of what the kind of thing it's taking. That fish, in terms of the amount of that toxic, it will be able along the food chain, because maybe it took it from some plankton, some feed from the fish. It will double as it take it. Then when we take it, will be, it goes increasing along the food chain. Now the same is happening on us, because, for example, what I usually look at more is milk that we take. We are using a lot of glyphosates, like the Roundup and the rest, in our wheat, and it's so sad. I have to admit that some even farmers dry wheat with herbicide, which is very bad, because that herbicide was meant to kill the wheat, but because of our selfish interest in terms of cash flow, we dried with a glyphosate. After you dry it with a glyphosate, you can now imagine we are going to dehusk the wheat, for the white flour. Then that wheat bran is fed to our animals. Look at that level that will move in terms of the amount of glyphosate that will be taken by that animal taking the wheat bran. That wheat bran that milk, it will end up in the milk. Then we are also going to consume that milk in terms of the multiplication level of that kind of toxic element in that feed. And this time I was talking to a colleague who is a toxicologist, and he was really, really concerned that this is not something that has been tracked. But I strongly believe that if you look at that element of the biomagnification effect of toxic elements within the food chain, it will also happen to us as human beings. Yeah.
So
and that's
very sad.
Around the food chain. We've not accounted for the farmers and workers on farms who are now directly exposed to those pesticides, inhaling that. That's a big health risk. The health of the soil as well, long term.
Let me talk about the soil, actually. That's a very good, sorry, I forgot. Now, we need to understand that what we are talking about when we are looking at management of our farms to reduce the dependency of pesticides, what we usually call the integrated pest management. And we have the pyramid of interest in terms of at what point do you inject a pesticide in your farm. So in the aspect of agroecology principles, which is ecological farming, where you farm, taking care of the ecology of the environment or the ecosystem where you're working in, what we are saying is that let us use synthetic pesticides as the last resort. I'll give an example of an exercise that we are performing in our farm of potatoes. Potatoes and tomatoes are highly sprayed and farmers have no choice. We understand they have been affected by fungicides, by blight, those bacterial infections. So we have been trying to think of how you can be able to reduce the dependence at a very early stage, because we are talking about preventive measures, not curative. So at a very early stage, see how you can prevent. And what we have been seeing is that a crop that is very healthy, for example, you do that crop with what we call a mycorrhiza, because it's more of what we call abscapula mycorrhiza. It's like a fungal that is helpful to the soil. Now, that one soil, as that crop grows, you'll be able to enhance the vigor of that crop. And in terms of the nutrients and biology of the soil is highly improved. Then when it starts germinating, you can now introduce very mild fungicide like copper. So you can now maybe exchange the propionate as that crop grows. So you are reducing, you will find that crop will never be attacked from a very early age until to maturity. But now, you see, the problem is that when you are late, you will start injecting very highly hazardous pesticides at a very late age. Now, the biology, what I was saying, when you start applying a lot of herbicides on the soil, you kill the biology. You know, biology, you have got protozoans, you have got bacteria, you have got fungal, and these are very important in terms of enhancing that exchange of nutrients and the symbiotic relationship between the plant and those microorganisms in the soil. So that's what they do when you overuse pesticides. You are killing that soil biology.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll come to safer alternatives in a moment. Some feedback, just to see if we can get any reactions or if they have questions. Rosemary Mwangi on YouTube says, Kenya lost it when agricultural extension officers stopped going to the field. Dr. You'll come and clarify some of these. She also says, Kenyan policymakers seem book smart, but in the field where practicality is of importance, zero effort, zero effect. Somebody else here is saying to share the circular so that they can advise people back home. Rosemary Mwangi again, I ceased using tomatoes after learning at how rogue farmers are growing them. Ian Muli, sad fact, our parents, Mashinani, only know these products by brand names. They don't know anything about active ingredients and technicalities. Then they need continuous farmers' education in this country. Somebody else is commenting that cartels could be the issue. So just thought I'd share some of that feedback.
I think
you have more?
Rosemary sounds like either a farmer or like a player in the industry. No, but it's also something that Ian Muli was saying. I've seen a broker buy tomatoes from a farm a day after the farmer had sprayed them. He Kenya bana. And Rosemary reiterates the need for continuous farmer education in the country. And she's spoken previously to agricultural extension officers who are, I think, very critical in the food chain. But I don't know, I don't hear of them as much nowadays. But please speak to, one, where the circular is, then the fixes, and the fixes throughout the system. How do we make sure that all these harmful pesticides are actually not in circulation anymore? From a regulatory perspective, we've already gotten the law, fine, but then now how does that trickle down? But yes, also speak to what they're talking about, which is information for farmers and the role of agricultural extension officers in that whole ecosystem.
Good. Let me first of all address where the problem has been. In this country, for a very long time, we have had a disconnect between the regulatory agency and the parent ministry. The parent ministry has been so much on conventional agriculture, whereby our focus has been blind, increased in food production. And for the first time, and I have to admit, we have had the executive from the cabinet secretary demonizing the highly hazardous pesticides. That has not happened before. And it's only us in the civil society, as the Root to Food initiative, that we have been trying to push this agenda without support of the government. So it has been very reactive forces addressing the issue of highly hazardous pesticides. Secondly, the issue of agroecology, which is the safe use of, the safe farming methods that are mindful of our ecology at the farm, has been an agenda that has been promoted also from the other divide of the civil society. At least we have seen that embracement by the Ministry of Agriculture, and what I'm saying, we are seeing some change. And just that pronouncement by the executive that these are highly hazardous pesticides, we from the Root to Food initiative, we feel now we have started working from the same path. Now, the challenge, like you've said, is how do we implement this regulation to be effective? Because announcing it is one thing, but effecting it, there are so many issues that we are flagging out, and also discussing with the Minister of Agriculture on how we can make this effective. Because, you can have it, it will be a paper, it will be released, it will be an announcement. But we are asking, can we have regulations? Can we see that kind of positive measures, positive step to be able to regularize this law, unpack it? What regulations will do, they'll even give you now what you're asking, who has got the specific mandate to address specific aspects that have been lacking? Because that is lacking, actually, up to where we are, it's lacking. But we're also glad that there's a bill that was approved by the cabinet in terms of transitioning PCPB to an authority. And we also hope that we'll have the biting power, the biting aspect, and it will go for the public participation for the input. And we just hope that will also be very effective in terms of controlling the aspects of our use in the pesticide landscape that will be affected through the authority.
Roy, why is this such a protracted conversation? I mean, something is harmful.
Yes.
Even other jurisdictions have found this thing to be harmful. Why would it be such a long conversation here, whether it's harmful or not, whether we should allow it to be used or not? I mean,
your guess is as good as mine. You have had.
I have no guess.
But it's what she said.
What did she say? What did she say?
She said that there's big money.
PC, the board is in bed with agrochemical companies because there's big money.
Because there's big money. She's
so sad.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
Okay. That could just be a few elements in a board. We have laws, we have other people who check this board. We have, look, why is it such a long conversation?
Can you imagine?
We have a ministry, we have a parliament, we have all this.
Allow me actually to answer that question. Yes. I would like you to segment this campaign or the roadmap. If you map it very well, that we have been traveling, we have got, actually I'll talk about the parliament. We have got the executive, and the executive, I'm talking about the ministry and the PCB and the civil society. And of course, the key, cutting across the farmer. You could be a parliamentarian, you could be a da-da-da, but you're still a farmer, you are eating. You know, farmers and consumers, we are there. Now, the war has been between the parliament has worked very well, has started from 2021, we have worked with the parliament as the Route to Food initiative to try and push for this agenda. But now we hit PCPB. That has been talked about, has been talked so much about it. So what we are saying, and we want to admit, we are seeing some reverse role now. Somehow we are seeing it. That the ministry, for the first time, has now pronounced that these over 270, actually 279, are getting out of the market. Or they are being controlled, they are not going to be used in open field in totality. So the question also that was asked about the products, that farmers don't know active ingredients, they know the product. Now, if you look at that circular, when they actually, the ministry listed all the products that are in the market.
Where can farmers get this
by brand name.
circular?
Yeah,
where can farmers get that circular?
We hope that through the county government, they will be able to get, and I also wish that this circular can be availed at the agrovest level. It's very possible. And I think it's very possible. I remember there was a time the government was doing a stock taking of all the agrovets in Kenya. Can you imagine? And they managed.
Yeah.
They can't manage. So this country, the agrovets.
They recently listed all farmers in Kenya. Okay, so they know, I mean, so this circular, what does it say? These products are harmful or these products are poisonous?
Actually, they even, with the circular, how it says by the active ingredients, it shows the effect, and then they expand another column of all the brand names that are aligned to this, to that active ingredient, which is very good actually.
So, and then action?
Either withdrawal or restriction.
So there are some that have been deemed for withdrawal.
77 products
to be withdrawn from Kenya.
Yeah. Then 202 are restricted from use. And again, there is other 150 that's being under consideration.
Wow.
In terms of review, we are reviewing whether they should be withdrawn or they be restricted. And my point is this. For me, this is a very bold step by the government because this has not been happening before. So what we are saying is, let's move now for those questions we're asking here because we are stakeholders, all of us, as we sit here. You could be a consumer, you could be a farmer, you could, all of us, we are affected by food. I strongly believe that the next step is now the biting. Yeah, the food is on the table, the circular is there. Let's see the biting, where these regulations can be operationalized, can be implemented in such a manner that they are going to reach the smallest unit of production. Right. That small scale farmer should know that this product is not good. I should not go and buy. And I think now the public is very much aware. Use these kind of debates that have been going. There's a lot of concern even from the consumers now that they are now aware that there is, you have heard about someone talk about kachumbari, they cannot blend, someone said they cannot blend anymore their tomatoes because they are now conscious about what is there.
Yeah.
So these kind of talks that are going on, these kind of discussions that are going on, they are creating a lot of awareness from the public. And farmers are now asking, where can I get safe food? Where can I get food that I'm confident while eating? I'm not worried about the toxicity element.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Let's wrap it up there. But I think maybe there's also need for clear, not food mapping, but just being able to track your food, right? Yeah. From where it comes, from the soil to middlemen, to, all of that, to how it was produced, how it was stored, how it got to your table. And of course, we'll be having those conversations as we continue. But thank you so much, Dr. Harun Warui. He has been talking to us about, the toxic harvest and the poisonous pesticides. We have to wrap up the show now. We'll be back tomorrow, very ready for Tuesday. Yes, we'll be back 6 to 10 a.m. Hashtag continues to be Fixing the Nation NTV. Continue the conversation. Alafu pia msikize Claudia Naisabwa na Brian Aseli on Nation FM. And of course, Your World on NTV. We'll be back tomorrow.
Good.